let's get into this news around Chainlink. What exactly happened with Chainlink? Why is it so revolutionary? Why is it changing the entire space? So the headline here is that 3 days ago, Chainlink announced the launch of their CCIP protocol, which is called Cross-Chain Interoperability Protocol. And this first integration will happen on Avalanche, Ethereum, Optimism, and Polygon. What exactly is this? Why is it so significant? So if you guys are not familiar, cross-chain interoperability has been a long, hot topic for many cycles, many years in crypto, specifically because we have all these blockchains, all these tokens, staking, DeFi stuff, but they have historically been very siloed in their own ecosystems and they cannot connect with each other. And over the multiple market cycles, people have gone and implemented multiple types of solutions. So we've had, for example, Polkadot with their parachains, parathreads model. We have had bridges, which we saw as very risky. Some of the largest hacks in 2021 and 2022 were all bridge hacks with Ronin Bridge, BSC Bridge, Wormhole, Nomad, Harmony Bridge, you name it. More recently, we also had the multi-chain bridge, $130 million, literally rug pulled by the CEO because of centralization problems. And then we also had things like the IBC stack with Cosmos and their interchain, what's it called? Interchain. Oh, okay. It's skipping my mind. But the point is, interoperability, people have been trying to solve this problem for the longest time. While bridges kind of worked for a bit, they're way too risky. So now we're really taking a step back and looking at what is the next step. And there are 2, maybe 3 top players that are innovating on the next wave of cross-chain interoperability. So Chainlink CCIP is number 1. And then we have LayerZero is their closest competitor. And also I would say Axelar is also leading the market in this range. So we'll talk about why these guys are different. So to understand this, you have to understand the models of bridges. So why were bridges such big problems? Looking at all these bridge hacks. The biggest problem with these bridge hacks is that they only take care of the token liquidity, and they are only concerned with moving tokens from one chain to another. And in order to do this and to get this deployed as quickly as possible in a bull market, they skipped a lot of the technology side of it and instead just resorted to either using a small set of nodes that's relatively centralized, or their network just kind of mints tokens on one side and takes tokens on the other side. So what this effectively does is that instead of you have real consensus and real blockchains that secure their own tokens, when you go on a bridge, effectively what happens is you deposit your tokens that you want to bridge on, for example, the Ethereum side in a smart contract, and then on the Ronin side or on Solana or BSC or whatever, the bridge operators, somewhat centralized, sees that you have deposited that money and then just gives you new tokens on the other side. And through this process, yes, for the time being, you have same amount of money on the other side, but because this new token that is minted is controlled by this bridge operator, what happens is your initial funds that was secure as native Ethereum tokens is locked up in this bridge operator's treasury and their multi-sig and whatever the protocol is. So this presents a huge centralization and potentially a hack problem. So once the bridge gets large enough, for example, on the Ronin bridge, there was $600 million, anyone can just come in and either try to deploy a lot of money and just break the consensus of the bridge, or just put in so much effort by hiring a lot of hackers and just target that $600 million in a honeypot. And each bridge that's designed in this fashion is always prone to this kind of attack because the bridge once it has so much money, it just cannot sustain itself anymore because there's such a high economic incentive to attack it. Now, this is why bridges, pretty much none of them work over the long term if they only wrap the tokens and then give you some newly minted tokens on the other side. So this got people thinking, what's really the next step when it comes to moving tokens up cross-chain? And also, are we really only going to continue moving tokens, or is there something more there when it comes to interoperability? So this is where Chainlink's CCIP comes in. So let's see. CCIP, what exactly does CCIP do? Three main things, right? CCIP enables really cross-chain dApps where you can have applications that not only exist on one chain like Ethereum, but also can exist simultaneously on other chains. And then within this whole multi-chain cross-chain dApp, you can have different transactions on different chains executing at the same time in order to complete whatever you want to do. And this is all enabled through a protocol like Chainlink CCIP. And here, this thread by Chainlink God is really one of the most simple yet in-depth threads on this. So here are some potential use cases of this, right? So think about this. Of course, you can do simplified token transfers, right? You can do, using CCIP, you can have a plug-and-play solution for building a bridge, transferring any token cross-chain. And you could do a lock and mint, where you wrap tokens on Ethereum and then mint some more tokens on Solana or Polygon. But you can also do native burn and mint or native transfers, where you don't have any tokens locked up, and instead you just have two smart contracts on both chains, and then no amount of money is locked up. Instead, your token goes into the Ethereum side, it's burnt, and then on the Polygon side, it mints. So this way, no amount of money is locked up. So it doesn't matter if there's a centralization problem, there's no honeypot of large amounts of money that's there waiting to be attacked. So this is, of course, really good for building bridges if you're still onto that. But also, you see, something you could potentially do that's more powerful is something like programmable token transfers. So when using CCIP Chainlink to transfer tokens cross-chain, you can add in additional instructions when you have tokens arrive on the other side. For instance, you can send some USDC from Ethereum to Optimism, and then you can say, okay, once that transaction is over, you also swap it to Ethereum, and then you deposit it in a lending platform. So this really opens up cross-chain DeFi, right? Think about this. One of the players that is integrating this solution first is none other than AAVE, right? So AAVE here is going to launch to multi-chain and cross-chain using CCIP. And AAVE is the market leader in DeFi lending protocols. So what happens here is on the AAVE front end, right now you have to switch multiple chains to find the highest percentage yield in DeFi. So maybe on Ethereum, you can get 5% USDC for lending out your USDC. Maybe on Polygon, you can get 8%. So in order to find that arbitrage, you have to switch chains and you have to take your USDC, somehow get it onto Polygon, deposit in the farm. But with something like CCIP, what AAVE can do is offer everything in a seamless front end and just says, okay, here is the highest percentage you can get on all the chains. And then what you do is you deposit money in there in a kind of cross-chain decentralized application. And then your USDC first goes into the Ethereum side, takes advantage of the pool there to lend it out. And then once the APY is not as high anymore, it automatically bridges it onto Polygon and then also includes the instruction to deposit in AAVE on the Polygon side of the smart contract. And then this way, everything automatically balances out and you only have to approve one transaction on one of the chains. And then AAVE will complete all of this for you by taking your USDC, using Chainlink, send the instructions to whatever new chain that has better yield, deposit in there, and then you're all set. So it abstracts away all of the bridging steps and fees steps that you have to worry about. So this is the future of cross-chain economy and cross-chain decentralized applications. And yeah, so explained very simply there. And you see here, why is Chainlink the best player to build this kind of a solution, right? One must think, okay, like Chainlink is an Oracle provider historically. Why is it that Chainlink is working on something like this? So if you guys have been around since like 2017 or so, Oracle's back in the day was one of the biggest problems that DeFi did not know how to solve. So getting real world price feeds, centralized exchange price feeds into a DeFi application in order to facilitate the trading and lending markets, whatever. And Chainlink wanted to solve this from the ground up. And today they are pretty much the monopoly player when it comes to DeFi oracles, providing price feeds for all DeFi applications on all the chains. Now, this solution has been functioning extremely well throughout the bull and bear markets. And this is why I really think Chainlink going into this cross-chain space is really powerful, because they really have that brand behind them, that they have 3 years of supporting DeFi infrastructure that has not broken, has not been exploited. So think about this. Every chain right now, when you build a DeFi application, you need price feed. You go to Chainlink. Chainlink is there. You can trust that it is secure. Going into the next cycle, when we have these other DeFi applications that want to take advantage of cross-chain decentralized applications, which player are you going to go to? Are you going to go to a bridge provider that has just spun up but has been hacked in the last bull market? Are you going to go to a newer startup, or are you going to trust the Chainlink brand? I think just having that security alone of working with all of these different chains, EVM and non-EVM, will put Chainlink really in front of the market and in front of the competition. So this is why I think this move is super smart, and this will really put Chainlink front and center again in the next cycle when cross-chain DeFi is all the hype again. Okay, now Chainlink is not the only player in this move. So we mentioned this kind of cross-chain interoperability, next-gen cross-chain interoperability protocol. And at the ground layer, the brand of it is like a LayerZero. So we have layer 1 networks, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, whatever, Avalanche, Polkadot, etc. And then when you go a level deeper than that, that is what you call a LayerZero that connects all these layer 1s together. And that's why another project you should definitely pay attention to is LayerZero, which is effectively taking a very similar approach to Chainlink's CCIP and has already been powering a lot of DeFi applications and has gone live to mainnet earlier than Chainlink. So you can go on LayerZero's network website and just look at exactly how they work. And it's explained very simply here. So basically, they take advantage of two types of endpoints, or I guess nodes on the network, Oracle nodes and Relayer nodes. So with these two types of nodes, it's able to collect messages from any single type of layer 1 chain like Ethereum, and then send it over to any other type of chain like Solana or Polkadot, Cosmos, Avalanche, whatever. And they only act as this intermediary layer of message passing and doesn't take everyone into a siloed ecosystem, or doesn't, create any kind of centralized entity and honeypot to be attacked. So comparing this concept to that of, for example, Polkadot, here is why LayerZero and CCIP are so good. So when you look at Polkadot, yes, they have this interoperability protocol where if you are part of the Polkadot network and you are part of this relay chain and you have one of these pair chains that you can see is connected to this main circle, you can talk to the other guys pretty easily. So this main relay chain here is Polkadot, and these parachains are things like Astar, Moonbeam, what have you, right? Affinity, all the other chains. But the problem is when you want to go out of the ecosystem and you want to go to an existing blockchain that doesn't adhere to Polkadot's design, you have this problem, right? So when you want to go from Polkadot to Ethereum, Bitcoin, or Solana, again, you have to go through a bridge. And similarly, Avalanche, Elrond, Near Protocol, you have to go through a bridge. So when you take one of these steps, you run into the exact same problem. Do you use a centralized bridge? Do you use wrapping tokens? What do you do? So you are relying on whatever this little guy, the parachain's technology is, and how good their security here is. So no matter how good and your own ecosystem is connected with each other within Polkadot, you cannot explore outside of the ecosystem to have very high amount of transactions in one of these bridges. So that's the native problem. That's the biggest problem of Polkadot. Now, similarly with Cosmos, the initial design of Cosmos is quite similar to that of Polkadot, where they want to build this kind of universe of blockchains, very similar to that whole design. And Cosmos is the main security layer that oversees everyone. But over time, they realized that, okay, we have a good technology, but if we continue to lock everyone in to the Cosmos ecosystem and have them be under our main consensus and main security, that is going to limit us. So what if we have Solana that doesn't want to come under us? We cannot connect to them. So this is why they eventually pivoted most of their interoperability to this IBC protocol. I think it's called Inter-Blockchain Communication. So the IBC protocol is still quite good. I would say it is very relevant still and comparable with CCIP, LayerZero, etc. So how this protocol works is that when you're developing your blockchain, you put in a set of kind of interfaces on your blockchain so that as long as you have these set of interfaces, you can use these to send messages and connect with other blockchains that also support this set of interfaces. And that's it. It's a technology solution. You don't have to be tied into the Cosmos ecosystem. And this is really kudos to Cosmos. And this is kind of the main interoperability solution that is still making Cosmos relevant today. So some of the main examples, Binance BNB chain has IBC. I think Solana has it. Kronos chain has it. It skips my mind, but a lot of the major chains have it. And even though they don't sit under the Cosmos ecosystem, just by supporting this, they can talk to the Cosmos side chains relatively easily. So this is the early stages of what inspired CCIP, I guess. And now we're seeing where the cross-chain interoperability space is really moving towards, which is you cannot have one of these models where you have everyone in your own ecosystem. Instead, you need to develop a general purpose messaging solution between existing chains that is relatively easy to support. And then whenever someone wants to build a chain, they just support like one or two standards, and then they can talk to everyone else. That is a much more practical solution, a much more open solution where no matter what you really want to build, just put these kind of few technology solutions in, and then it really empowers your chain instead of tying it down. And yeah, so this is really the groundbreaking movement in the cross-chain interoperability space. And Chainlink, by far, one of the only market leaders that has a solution that is working. So if you're bullish on this narrative like I am, pay attention to Chainlink, pay attention to LayerZero, and also the other player that just announced something very interesting is Axelar. So Axelar just launched their interchain token service. At its core, Axelar is also a general purpose messaging layer between different chains. And this interchain token service is kind of one set of services that takes advantage of their messaging layer. So again, very simply put, 3 types of DeFi functionalities that this can serve the crypto space. So we have new sources of liquidity. So if you want to deploy a token on Ethereum, but you think, okay, what about the BSC traders, right? People that like trading on Binance Smart Chain for this lower fees. We can tap into that by deploying the token on Ethereum, but also using interchain token service, have it also go live on BSC and on Polygon and whatever new chain. And you have multiple liquidity pools, and there are multiple users on multiple chains. And then also simplified yield farming and staking. Again, just like the AAVE example we gave with Chainlink, it simplifies the front end where you go to a DeFi application and you don't have to switch chains. You automatically see the highest percentage yield you can get on any chain. And then you don't have to switch a chain in order to go to that farm. You just click a button and then this service takes care of it for you because it automatically can message across multiple chains. And then here, this is also pretty cool, chain agnostic wallets. So this really ties into the front end. When you go to a front end right now, for example, on AAVE, and then you go to, you go to one of these apps, and right away when you connect wallet, right, you connect your browser wallet, and then you're gonna have to switch chains, right? So here it will show you like kind of your your Ethereum market, but you have all of these chains, right? And if you're a crypto noob, like you come into here, you're gonna be so confused. So what are you gonna do later on when retail coming in and you have way more layer 2s? There are very few layer 2 supported here. So in the future, Ethereum is only gonna get more and more fragmented. So how do you really simplify the user experience? And that's with cross-chain messaging. So instead of showing all of this, you just show one decentralized application, and then here you show all the pools, and maybe you have a little tag that shows this pool is on Ethereum, this pool is on Arbitrum, on Optimism, on Polygon, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about going into the other chain and having some tokens for gas on the other chain. You just go to the one front end and it just works. That is something that we can really look forward to in the next cycle. Okay. So yeah, that is CCIP, Chainlink. And let's look at actually Chainlink price, because I think there's definitely some potential there. So when it comes to Chainlink's price, this chart might not look so exciting to you, but keep in mind, this is a weekly chart. Really consider how long the sideways consolidation has been for Chainlink. So let me just give you a perspective here. So drawing a sideways consolidation period here. This is 434 days of consolidation since the market crashed on May 2022. I think this was the Luna crash. So Chainlink has been in this sideways range between, let's say, $5 to $9 for 1.5 years now. And this is honestly one of the longest time it has ever been going sideways for so long. So usually the longer time a coin goes sideways and consolidates, the more fuel it has going into the next cycle. So I think if anything, you want to bet on Chainlink, the chart is very clear. So of course you can bet on the fundamentals of Chainlink CCIP adoption, but also on the charts, the breakout is very clear, which levels we want to watch. So just draw a long-term resistance of this sideways range where we tested it here, we tested it here, tested it here. Didn't manage to even test it here, but nonetheless, let's just draw a very conservative level at $9.2. So something very simple we could trade is out of a 1.5-year sideways consolidation, if price can break above 9.2 and then have a retest, you enter here at a retest. Very simple, right? So if we're expecting Chainlink to make a new rally in the next run and move towards its previous all-time high, trading something like a breakout retest here at this consolidation, very easy trade. So this is definitely something I'm watching. Again, Chainlink has gotten a lot of hype in the past week out of this CCIP launch. So I wouldn't necessarily buy into this candle right here. But, on a daily time frame, if it comes back down to test this pre-launch news levels around 720, I think that's a decent dip buying opportunity. But on a longer term, we really want to see it break above 9.2. And then it should be smooth sailing from there. All in all, this is one of the cleanest sideways consolidation charts in all of crypto. So